He was in a vegetative state, but he got married to the daughter of the Liu family all because he accidentally got her pregnant. When everyone thought he would cling to his wife's status, he left resolutely because of a birthday wish his daughter made. He handed the divorce papers to Beatrice. She just glanced at him indifferently, like she was looking at a stranger. In 5 years of marriage, they never shared a bed. Since the wedding day, they slept separately and rarely even ate together. Despite this, she pretended to be a loving wife in public, showing off their supposed affection. He was a legal advisor at the Liu Group while she was the heiress. In a novel, he would be the typical live-in son-in-law of a wealthy family. But their marriage wasn't due to a great debt the Liu family owed his, nor because they were deeply in love, nor a parental agreement. It was merely an accident. Because of this, he endured the cold stares of his father-in-law and brother-in-law. They treated him with disdain both at home and at work, acting as if he was a dog they didn't need to feed. But he tolerated it until today because of that accident. Beatrice's eyes were cold and distant. She said blandly, "Arthur, do you think I would never divorce you?" Talking about personal matters during work hours. That's an $1,800 fine. She was certain he wasn't genuinely seeking a divorce but merely pressuring her. Her distant gaze reminded him of that afternoon long ago. 3 months into his job, his boss targeted him several times because he unknowingly took a position he wanted for his candidate. He berated him for his writing style differences. Frustrated, he went to the corner of the company courtyard to smoke. That's where he met Beatrice. She was stunning in a black fitted dress, her hair swayed gently in the breeze. Her features were fresh and elegant, her red lips parted under a high nose, and her eyes beneath thick lashes were like a spring pool. As he approached, he smelled a faint floral scent. Despite her beauty, she was crying against the wall. He exhaled deeply and impulsively patted her shoulder. She looked up at him, startled, her airy eyes shining. He sympathized deeply, saying, "Did you get scolded too?" "Let me tell you, the higher-ups here are all brainless. I get mad at idiots." She frowned and asked, "Are they all like this?" "Of course," he replied. "Let me explain." He spoke while naming and cursing all the leaders he knew for 10 minutes, venting his anger. Then he added, "If the company keeps running like this, it'll be doomed. Don't be sad. Curse them too. Every employee curses their boss. You'll feel better. If not, lean on my shoulder." To his surprise, she leaned on his shoulder, finding solace. Her hair brushed his cheek, fragrant. He felt her breathing, initially rapid, gradually calming. His heart pounded as if shocked by electricity, unable to calm down. He thought it was a beautiful afternoon. But then she got up, smiled, and pointed to his badge, saying, "Arthur, right? Slacking off and smoking during work hours. That's an $18 fine." Later, he learned she cried because of Liam, but he had already fallen deeply in love with her. Beatrice never liked him from the start. It was always Liam, so he didn't bother arguing. "Fine me." "Let her," he said. "Beatrice, I want a divorce as soon as possible." Beatrice finally glanced at the papers and said, "Arthur, if you want to trick me, at least make a real divorce agreement. Only compensation." Beatrice didn't know the amount matched what her father once offered to make him leave her, but he stayed because he was a transmigrator completing missions to wake up from a vegetative state. After meeting her, the system told him the mission: marry Beatrice and have a child. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't warm her heart. "We have no future. This money is a belated compensation." "I don't want to argue. The $50 million in the agreement is a negotiable amount for the Liu family and a fortune for me. Enough for a luxurious life." Beatrice stood up, looking at him disapprovingly in her expensive designer chiffon dress, and sneered. "You didn't even write about our daughter's custody." "What? You don't want your precious daughter anymore." He smiled faintly now. He used to love Chloe very much. As an orphan since childhood, without parents or siblings, only his shadow accompanied him. He didn't understand the meaning of family until he first held Chloe in his arms. Seeing her tiny face and feeling her warmth, his heart melted. This feeling filled his soul, completing a missing part of him. Every smile, every glance from her brought him immense happiness, making him feel he finally had a family, someone worth protecting with his life. He gave all the affection he lacked in his childhood to Chloe. He was incredibly protective of her. She was his only blood relative, so if he didn't cherish her, who would? But Beatrice had no feelings for Chloe, since Chloe was an unexpected pregnancy. So Beatrice's contempt for him also transferred to Chloe. When the doctor placed Chloe beside her after birth, she merely glanced and turned away, saying, "She looks like Arthur." Then she left Chloe for him to take care of. Her mother didn't love her, so he played both father and mother. People say daughters are like little jackets to their fathers. He never received familial love and wouldn't let his daughter miss out either. For 5 years, he poured all his patience and love into every stage of her growth. Strangely, Chloe adored Beatrice. She had a talent for languages. At just 3, she coldly said to him, "Mom doesn't spend time with me because it's your fault, Dad." He took it as childish talk. At 4, she met Liam, who had returned from abroad after his divorce. She told the nanny, "No wonder Mom likes Liam. I like him too. Uncle Liam is much better than Dad. He's handsome and rich, always buys me lots of treats, unlike Dad who never lets me eat anything fun, just because he wouldn't let her have too many sweets." She pouted angrily. He overheard her complaints from the kitchen. Suppressing his discomfort, he gently said, "Chloe, Daddy will make you new candy." Daddy made them himself, Parent Hawthorne candy, delicious and healthy. But she grabbed the candy he made and threw it into the trash can. "I don't want your garbage. I want the fancy candy Uncle Liam brought from Italy." "I want cavities." "So what?" He stared at her, stunned. At that moment, he realized how much Beatrice's daughter resembled her, both unresponsive to his warmth, especially on her 5th birthday. Both mother and daughter invited Liam. While lighting the candles, he suddenly heard the long-absent voice of the system. "Host, long time no see. I'm back." Although others couldn't hear it, he instinctively stepped outside. "Host, your mission is complete. You have enough points to return. You can also choose to stay. After all, you have a family now. In the original world, you were all alone." As he hesitated, Chloe made the decision for him. Just as he stepped back into the hall, he heard her birthday wish. Her voice was clear and loud, without any regard for him. "Can Mom and Dad divorce? I want Uncle Liam to be my dad." Everyone was stunned. Beatrice just frowned slightly and said, "Make another wish." Liam teased her. "You can't say that. Did you get your dad's permission to switch dads? You'll get a spanking." But his eyes were filled with undisguised pride. He smiled, turning to the system, and said, "Take me home. I don't want to wait another second." But the system gave him bad news. Since the central system has received too many second and third-time transmigrate arrests, there's now a cooling-off period for leaving the system. He was stunned. The system cleared its throat and said, "Just like your human divorce cooling-off period. You need to wait." He blurted out, "Wait for what? Damn it." The system reminded him to use civilized language. So, he restrained himself unasked. "How long? 3 years?" 3 years? System, are you kidding? Wait until all the vegetables in your garden wither? The system paused for a moment and said, "Host, your insults are quite sophisticated." After 3 seconds of silence, it continued, "As compensation for my long absence, I'll increase your points by 1 free, so when you wake up from your vegetative state, your body will be completely healthy." "Fine, then I'll finalize the divorce first." That's why he was standing in Beatrice's office. "Beatrice, let's get a divorce." Beatrice looked up, staring straight into his eyes, and asked mockingly, "Arthur, have you forgotten who was the one who begged me 5 years ago to have Chloe?" saying if he didn't, he would die. Those were his words that year. Beatrice heard the news of Liam's marriage. She drank all night, and in her heartbreak came to him. She said, "Arthur, why am I not good enough for Liam? Why did he marry someone else? If he can marry another woman, he can find another man. Arthur, you like me, don't you? You've waited for me, right?" He nodded. They kissed passionately that night. Despite precautions, she accidentally became pregnant with Chloe. Her first reaction was to have an abortion because she didn't want a child to be a burden. If Liam came back for her, the child would be an obstacle between them. But then, the system. If you abort now, it means mission failure, and you know the consequences, host, he begged Beatrice, driven by the system and his own deep desires. He said, "If the baby dies, so will I. I swear I'll take care of both of you for life." Without his plea, Chloe would never have been born. Beatrice didn't care about him, didn't care about Chloe. She only cared about one person, Liam, who had lived with her in the orphanage and saved her. Beatrice always wanted to marry just one person, Liam. The day her biological father took her from the orphanage, she cried and begged Liam to wait for her to marry him. So, she always held on to her feelings for Liam. However, the next news she got about him was his marriage. Much later, he learned that Beatrice agreed to his proposal and decided to keep the child not because she believed his words, but because of something Liam said. He told her, "Beatrice, why do you think you deserve me to wait for you forever?" He looked at Beatrice's beautiful face, but he was thinking, "I hope I never see her again." He said calmly, "Since both you and your daughter like Liam, after the divorce, you can form a family. Everyone will be happy, right?" Beatrice smiled at him, but he could see the disdain and arrogance beneath her smile. She said, "Arthur, aren't you hypocritical? Do you think this will make me beg you? You really disgust me. Also, the child is mine. You tricked me into having her. From the moment you tried to threaten me with divorce, you completely lost your right to be a father. So, if you want me to sign the divorce papers, it's simple. You must promise never to come near my daughter again, never to see her. In the past, this would have been a fatal blow to him because love makes one vulnerable. After all, she was his only relative, his only daughter, but now he didn't care about anyone. So he had no vulnerabilities. Under her contemptuous gaze, he replied calmly, "Fine." She was taken aback, her eyes darkening. She grabbed a pen and quickly signed the agreement. Then she threw a copy at him. He picked it up and turned to leave. Beatrice bit her lip and said, "Arthur, take your lies and get far away. Never come back," he said. Fine, his emotions were frighteningly steady, but then he paused and smiled, asking her, "We haven't received the divorce certificate yet, and you haven't paid the compensation." "I won't leave. Please pay in advance. Thank you." Beatrice's face turned red. Reluctantly, she signed a check. Watching Arthur leave the office without looking back, Beatrice felt an inexplicable panic. Just then, Secretary Evans walked in with some documents. She had been with Beatrice for many years, both a subordinate and a close friend. She said, "Beatrice, is Arthur asking for a divorce?" Beatrice nodded without replying, taking the documents somewhat despondently. The secretary smiled and said, "It's just a quarrel. Arthur won't really divorce. Arthur loves you and the child so much. How could he bear to leave you?" Beatrice frowned slightly and said, "Whether he leaves or not, he has no right to show me attitude. Everything he has is because of the Liu family. If he really wants a divorce, I'll make Chloe change her surname to Liu." Secretary Evans smiled, put down the documents, and left. The office suddenly became eerily quiet. For some reason, she kept recalling Arthur's departing figure, which felt unfamiliar. It wasn't the Arthur she remembered. She inexplicably recalled that night for the first time. Under him, Beatrice felt nervous and scared, her eyes red, her voice trembling. Arthur had said things she didn't understand. he said. Beatrice, I'm not just here to conquer you. I genuinely like you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this with you. Beatrice, I'll stay here, treat you well. Please treat me well too. Okay. Though she didn't understand, she inexplicably felt at ease, no longer scared. She intertwined her fingers with his and kissed him. Over the years, Arthur was always gentle and considerate. The only thing that disgusted her was forcing her to keep the child. Ruining her future with Liam, he absurdly said. If the child is gone, the mission will fail, and I won't exist. She had to retaliate against him, so for 5 years she never showed him a good face. After all, he was homeless and would stay with her till death. His wish echoed in her ears again. Beatrice, I want a cute child. The 3 of us living in a cozy home, okay? No, she never wanted a family. She never had one since childhood. Her father only found her to use her as a pawn in marriage alliances. Unable to marry Liam, she married a low-level employee, but she would never follow her father's arrangements. The day Arthur asked for a divorce, she couldn't stay at the office and went home early. Where is Arthur? The nanny whispered. Sir moved out this afternoon. Beatrice felt even more panicked inside but didn't show it. She just sneered. He's quite convincing. Then she walked into her bedroom, ignoring everything else. After getting the divorce agreement, he returned home. He packed a few things and was ready to leave. Chloe was sitting in the living room playing on her tablet with a candy in her mouth. Colorful wrappers were scattered all over the floor. She glanced at him and said flatly, Mom allows me to eat these. Uncle Liam gave them to me, so mind your own business. He smiled. I won't mind at all. You can eat 100 if you like. He squatted down and pinched her cheek. If you get cavities, it's your problem, not mine. Chloe, I am leaving. Where to? To make room for your new dad. I won't come back here anymore. Chloe frowned, her expression just like her mother's. Dad, you're talking nonsense. Mom says you're an orphan and without clinging to her, you have nowhere else to go. Dad, you're so useless as a dad. You're such a failure. No one in this family likes you or needs you. Uncle Liam would never be so pathetic, always working or circling around the child at home. It's so annoying. Dad, you should leave. I won't miss you. And she lowered her head and continued playing her game, watching her indifferent back. If it were before, he would have been extremely hurt. Before, he would often ask her carefully what she was playing, if she would teach him, if he could play with her. He, a grown man, played girls' games, tea parties, and role-playing, sacrificing so much time just to spend time with her. But all he got in return was her disdain. Any slight disagreement led to her tantrums and sulking. Now, he didn't care anymore. Whoever wants to care can go ahead. All right, Chloe, I hope you can keep that tough mouth of yours. With that, he dragged his suitcase out the door. The warm sunlight stung his eyes. A phrase flashed in his mind, live towards the sun. Since he only had to wait 3 years, he quit his job, took the compensation, and settled down renting an apartment in a nice community. No need to buy, he couldn't take it with him after 3 years anyway. The community was beautiful, and from his window he could see the sea. But he could also see people walking into the sea. A little boy alone slowly approached the waves. Instinctively he ran downstairs in his slippers, crossed a road and a green belt to the beach. He picked up the little guy. Where are your parents? The boy was about 3 years old, with big round eyes like grapes. His eyes were wet as if he had just cried, but he didn't say a word, just tightly clutched his clothes. Theo? A woman walked over, her long hair flowing like a waterfall in the sea breeze. She had a fresh, natural look with a gentle smile. He hadn't noticed her earlier, sitting on a hammock under a tree, watching him. Thank you, but don't worry. He wouldn't dare go further. I was watching. The woman approached to take the boy. Leo, come home with mommy. But the boy clung to his pants. With his chubby mouth, he said, hug. The woman was surprised and smiled. This is the first time Leo has asked a stranger to hug him. He rubbed the little guy's head. Since he had nothing better to do, he carried him back to the community. It turned out they lived next door. The woman thought for a moment and said, Mr. Arthur, Leo seems to like you. I know you're single and currently not working. It's just me and my son. I'm a doctor and I often bake. If you're willing. He quickly handed the boy back. He interrupted her, saying, Miss, if you're interested in me, just say it. You look like a model with your height and long legs, and your fair skin and beauty make you look like a celebrity. Why are you acting like a stalker? How did you find out so much about me? She looked stunned and said, Mr. Arthur, I wanted to ask if you could help look after Leo for a while. I just fired his nanny for mistreating him, and I need someone to watch him until I find a new nanny. I saw how you cared for children, so I thought I'd ask. I can make you some treats in return. He was speechless. What a misunderstanding. But then he thought again and asked, How did you find out so much about me? She said. Well, I know your information because I'm your landlord. After confirming her identity, it was true. He felt so embarrassed. But I'm someone who can admit mistakes and adapt. So I said, Miss Landlord, I apologize for being creepy. Okay. Regarding her request, he considered it for a moment and planned to refuse. After all, taking care of children is troublesome. He used to take care of Chloe because he was her biological father. He wanted to make up for his own unfulfilled experiences, filling the void in his heart by taking care of her. But now, taking care of another child is something he cannot do. Kids at this age love to run around, and he can't afford to take responsibility if something happens. However, in the next second, she said, You can name your price. So he said, Sure, sister. When do I start? There was no helping it. The child's pitiful eyes were too hard to refuse, and he couldn't bear to turn down such a lonely mother and son. Unlike his daughter, he was very quiet and didn't talk much. He took care of him with the same dedication and effort as he did his daughter. So he often sat obediently on his little stool watching him play video games. Every time he won, he clapped his little hands and praised him. He said, Brother Arthur is amazing. Brother Arthur is the best. Brother Arthur dominates the game. Fiona looked on speechless lie. He explained to her that he had him call him Brother Arthur because it's better to be friends with kids, not enemies. Leo chimed in, Brother Arthur is my best friend. Mom, don't worry. I'll take care of him. You go to work. Sometimes while playing, he would zone out for a moment. Chloe never did this. She always complained, Dad, this is boring. Draw me a picture. Dad, your drawing is ugly. I don't like it. This isn't what I wanted. And she tore up the little hamster he had spent half an hour drawing for her. Leo, on the other hand, was a much easier child to get along with. The only strange thing about him was that he often called out for his parents in his sleep. He woke up with his eyes wet every time. He would wipe away his tears. He would look at him embarrassed and say, Mom always says boys shouldn't cry. Am I being silly? And he would tell him, Everyone gets sad, and when you're sad, you cry. If happiness doesn't distinguish between genders, neither does crying. After saying that, he would give him a parent hawthorn lollipop he made. He would put it in his mouth, and his eyes would squint into crescent moons with satisfaction. He would give him a fruity kiss. When his mom, Fiona, came home from work, he would show off. Brother Arthur's candy is much better than yours. Sometimes he would be reluctant to finish it all at once, taking small bites slowly. He laughed. Eat up, Leo, if you like it. I'll make more, but don't forget to brush your teeth. The things Chloe despised were treasures to someone else. Before the divorce, his life revolves around Chloe. Even with the nanny at home, he would worry every half hour at work about whether Chloe had hurt herself. Maybe it was because he had Leo's company during these days apart. He rarely thought about Chloe or anything related to Beatrice. Instead, the butler Smith contacted him several times. Miss Chloe isn't used to sleeping without your bedtime stories. She'll get used to it. Miss Chloe has a toothache. Will you come back to be with her? No. I'm not a dentist. A few days later, he unexpectedly ran into Chloe. Fiona went out of town for a conference and asked him to pick up and drop off Leo for a few days, but he overlooked the fact that Leo's new kindergarten was the same as Chloe's. He carried Leo out of the car and just dropped him off. Then he ran into Chloe. Beatrice, with a cold expression, was still sitting in the car. Chloe opened her mouth, wanting to call out Dad, but the word stuck in her throat. Even though they were divorced, she was still his daughter, a familiar face. So he greeted her, "Hey, Chloe," but she didn't respond, running into the classroom like an angry pufferfish. The woman in the car, his ex-wife Beatrice, was also a familiar face. He had no intention of greeting her. Unexpectedly, she spoke first. "Arthur, didn't you firmly agree not to see Chloe anymore? It's only been a few days and you can't hold back?" He laughed angrily and said, "Are you crazy? Does your family own this kindergarten? You can come but I can't. As if I wanted to see you. Why don't you just transfer her to another school tomorrow?" He couldn't be bothered with her. Beatrice scoffed behind him. "Arthur, keep pretending." Arthur had been away for over a month. Beatrice didn't understand. Such an ordinary man, a substitute, someone dispensable. Why did the house feel so empty without him? Chloe often cried. She clung to the housekeeper asking, "When will Dad come home?" She couldn't quite figure out her feelings for Chloe. Maybe it was because she was abandoned by a garbage dump as a child, so she didn't know how to be a mother to a child. "Stop crying. You look ugly when you cry." Chloe hiccuped head through her ears. "Mom, can you tell me a bedtime story?" "No, you don't have to sleep if you don't want to." Chloe was taken aback. In the end, Beatrice sat by Chloe's little bed and told her a story. The more Beatrice read, the more frustrated she felt. She should be getting her beauty sleep. Why was she sitting here reading a children's book? With a snap, she closed the book. Lights off. Sleep or don't, I don't care. Anyway, she wasn't going to keep reading. Chloe pouted but reluctantly slid under the covers. For the first time, Beatrice felt a bit unsettled. Since Arthur left, this frustration stayed with her, until she saw him at Chloe's kindergarten a few days later. The annoyance in her heart seemed to lessen a bit. She thought, how could he leave his daughter? She was his only family. And he purposely picked the rare times she brought Chloe to school. He was just stubborn and prideful. He could have had a good life but insisted on a divorce. So she took Chloe out of school, not letting her go to kindergarten. She wanted Arthur to make a wasted trip. Want to see the child? Fine, come and beg her. But 3 days later, Butler Smith hesitantly said, "Sir still goes to kindergarten every day. It seems he's taking someone else's child to school. He hasn't specifically come to see Miss Chloe." Beatrice was taken aback. Fiona kept her word. In the 3rd month of his time with Leo, she hired a gentle nanny to take care of him. Out of habit. He helped out when he could, because having someone praising you while playing games was just too pleasant. Fiona often cooked for him. Maybe it was a habit from her profession as a doctor. She would debone fish before cooking it or remove bones from meat before boiling it. But it tasted quite good, though he always felt a bit weird eating it. After dinner, Leo would habitually play with magnetic blocks on the small table in the living room. He sat on the sofa and chatted. There was an inexplicable peacefulness to it. He couldn't help but ask. Leo often calls out for his parents in his sleep. Did you do something to upset him, making him cry in his dreams?" Fiona said softly. "Leo's parents passed away in an accident last year." "Hey, Leo needs time to adjust. He was stunned. Then, who are you? A human trafficker. Fiona couldn't help but laugh. What are you thinking? I'm his biological aunt. After my brother passed away, I adopted him and raised him as my son to avoid people's strange looks outside. He patted her. You're really kind. Fiona suddenly leaned in close. Her legs almost pressed against his hand. He instinctively withdrew his hand. But when he looked up, he met her bright, almond-shaped eyes, which made his heart race. He could even smell her faint fragrance. She said, Arthur, do you think a single mom like me can find a man who likes her? Of course you can. You're beautiful, gentle, and kind-hearted. Do you like me? Me? He was speechless. The conversation had shifted too quickly. He instinctively said, Why not? Fiona shook her head. Men shouldn't say they can't. He sighed and continued, In 3 years. I have to go back home. Fiona's smile faded. She looked a bit forlorn. Arthur, how'd you forget your ex-wife? He laughed. How could I? She's getting married. Fiona's eyelashes fluttered and her eyes brightened. Her voice was filled with unconcealed excitement. Really? Should I send her a big gift to congratulate her on her wedding? He was taken aback. Fiona, why are you so excited about my ex-wife getting married? You're acting like it's your ex-husband getting married. Nearly half a year had passed. There was no sign of Arthur's softening up. He seemed to have left decisively and cleanly, as if he had disappeared from her world. At first, Beatrice didn't care much, and she didn't think about Arthur often, although Chloe often stared blankly at the wooden dolls Arthur made. But the nannies took good care of her, so she thought she really didn't like that man at all. But Liam's hint made her inexplicably anxious. He said, Beatrice, if you were to choose a ring, would you like a pink diamond? Rumors spread that Beatrice was going to marry him. Beatrice, she couldn't help but think. Did Arthur hear about it? Would Arthur misunderstand and never come back? Actually, Liam was someone she had liked for a long time. In her memories, maybe childhood memories were deeply ingrained. Back then, he had just arrived at the orphanage thin and weak. She looked like a little kitten ready to be bullied, and she was often bullied by the kids there. One day, she was beaten badly. Liam caught the headmaster and a group of kids scattered. Liam handed her a piece of fruit candy with a smile. Here, it's very sweet. Yes, it was very sweet. The sweetest candy she had ever had as a child. She never doubted that Liam was the person she loved the most, but a corner of her heart was subtly dissenting. For instance, she was inexplicably driven to visit Arthur's place unexpectedly. She watched Arthur, a pretty woman, and a lively little boy walk into the community with smiles. She recognized the woman, surprised, but she still held on to a sliver of hope, refusing to think about what might be happening. So when Arthur came out alone, she stopped him, smiling and teasing. Husband, why haven't you come home for so long? Are you secretly keeping a woman outside? Saying this, she reached out to hold Arthur's arm. Arthur was stunned, instinctively pushed her hand away, frowned, and said, Nothing. Shouldn't he be happy she came? Why didn't he take the chance she gave, seeing his silence? Beatrice felt inexplicably wronged. Arthur, if I were really done with you, I wouldn't have come back. If you still want Chloe, come back yourself. Otherwise, if I accept Liam's proposal, you won't have another chance. Arthur's expression was as calm as when he asked for a divorce in her office half a year ago. Congratulations, Miss Beatrice. Thank you, Miss Beatrice, for going out of your way to personally invite me to the wedding. Beatrice felt a strange pain in her heart. A fire of anger instantly ignited. Her face turned red, and she said without thinking, Arthur, Do you think you've struck gold? He was taken aback. What do you mean? Beatrice sneered. The young lady of the South City Yu family, Fiona Yu. When she mentioned it, he remembered that the Yu family had often caused trouble for the Liu family. using their political background to create issues. Half of the disputes their legal department handled were due to Yu's machinations. She continued, Fiona may appear to be a small doctor, but she is actually the daughter of the Yu family. Do you think she would marry a divorced man like you? He frowned. So what if I'm divorced? Aren't you divorced too? Isn't your dear brother Liam also divorced? Does that stop you from chasing after him? Beatrice, I know how your family has always viewed me, but look at yourself. Married and thinking about other men, divorced and seeking your ex-husband. Do you still fantasize that you're some pure maiden, saving herself for her first love? Do you think you're a princess everyone has to adore, even after divorce? Do you think I should still be devoted to you? Beatrice, I need to ask you, do you think you've struck gold? Do you think Liam is the light of your life? Go back and check. You might not even know what disease you've caught. You and Liam are actually a perfect match. Beatrice's face turned betrayed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, and she bit her lip without speaking. He felt oddly satisfied. Ignoring her shock, he turned and left. Unexpectedly, he ran into Fiona, who had been eavesdropping for who knows how long. He cleared his throat. I'm usually very nice, not like this. Do you believe me? Fiona nodded. I believe you. As they walked, they inexplicably exchanged a knowing smile. He asked her, Why are you smiling, Arthur? You were quite impressive with your scolding. Of course I think you made a lot of sense. He had to admit, being praised by a beautiful woman, especially one interested in him, greatly satisfied his vanity. He quickened his pace. Fiona followed. Arthur, the most important thing is that my marriage is my choice, unrelated to the Yu family. Arthur, did you hear that? A week before Beatrice's wedding, Chloe unexpectedly came to see him with the housekeeper as accompaniment. Chloe was almost 8 years old. She had lost her baby fat and grown taller, looking more and more like Beatrice. Hi, Chloe. Her eyes were slightly red. Dad. He took Chloe upstairs. Did your mother agree to you coming? He knew that without Beatrice's permission, the housekeeper wouldn't dare to bring Chloe here. Chloe nodded. Dad. Do you completely not want me anymore? He smiled. Dad never didn't want you. It was always you who didn't want Dad. Then, why don't you come home? He sighed. I divorced your mother, and divorce means not living together. Chloe turned her head, looking down at the floor. Can't you come back for me? How can you say you don't want me? Chloe, why should I come back for you? Although Chloe was young, she was very smart. He didn't treat her like a small child in their conversations, because she understood. I once made a mistake, thinking I was doing good for others, including you and Beatrice, but isn't that a kind of moral coercion? I thought accompanying you was good for you, but you didn't need my company. I thought not letting you eat candy was good for you to prevent cavities, but you didn't care about cavities. To be good to someone, you must first know what they like. If I like peaches and you give me apples, is that being good to me? It's not. Meeting the needs of others is truly being good to them. Not fulfilling what I think they need. Even if one day you get cavities and regret it. Thinking I was good to you back then, it doesn't change the fact that when you didn't care, I wasn't good to you. So a person must first understand what they want to understand what others want. I have to live for myself first before I can care for others. Otherwise, it's just self-sacrificing sentimentalisms. Compared to your interests, I now care more about my interests. What good does it do me to be good to you? Why wouldn't I be good to those who are good to me? So I won't come back because of you. If you need child support, have your mother contact my lawyer. Chloe seemed to understand a bit, lowering her head in frustration and staying silent. A knock suddenly came at the door. When he opened it, small shadow shot into his arms. Arthur, I want some pear candy. Leo saw Chloe and blinked. Arthur, is this beautiful girl your daughter? He nodded with a smile. Leo grabbed a handful of pear candy from the table and handed it to Chloe. Sister, eat this. Arthur makes it really well. It's healthy and delicious. Much better than the fancy candies you buy outside. Chloe took the candy and suddenly started crying. Dad, I'm sorry. He knew she remembered throwing away the candy he made with his own hands as garbage. Sometimes, things thrown away by hand are hard to retrieve. Beatrice married Liam. The wedding was unprecedentedly grand and luxurious, trending on South City's hot search. In the pictures, Liam was beaming with joy. But Beatrice's smile was forced. Chloe, dressed in an exquisite little dress as the flower girl, wore an expression identical to her mother's. However, the birthday wish she made when she was 5 finally came true. He can only say, daughter, you must face the wishes you make yourself. Strangely enough, Beatrice's wedding made Fiona and Leo the happiest. The mother and son insisted on taking him to the villa for a vacation. Arthur, there's a beautiful starry sky over there, and we can set off fireworks. Leo happily spun in circles. I love watching fireworks the most. Seeing Leo gradually emerge from the shadow of losing his parents, becoming happier day by day, made him quite happy as well. Under the night sky, they ate hot pot and sliced watermelon. The stars in the sky were countless. Fireflies with their glowing tails flew around, and frogs croaked in the nearby pond. This was the kind of life he wanted. As Leo handed him a slice of watermelon, he said, Brother Arthur, your ex-wife got married. Are you sad? He nearly choked on the watermelon. Who told you to ask that? Mom didn't tell me to ask, I asked myself. Fiona's slender body trembled slightly. Brother Arthur, don't be sad. You still have us. Even if that pretty sister calls someone else Dad, you still have me. Can I be your son from now on? I'll call you Brother Arthur and you can call me son. How about that? He scratched his head, thinking it didn't sound too bad. He pinched his chubby little face and said, What else do you want to say? Just say it all at once. Leo cleared his throat like an adult. If you think having me as your son isn't enough, I'll give you my mom as your wife. This time, his hand shook a bit. This kid is something else. Leo, worried the scene wasn't awkward enough, loudly asked Fiona, who seemed busy watering the flowers, but was actually pouring water all over the ground. Right, Mom? Can you do this job? Can you be Brother Arthur's wife? Fiona softly replied with a, but her ears turned slightly red. Then she looked up at the sky, at Leo, at the trees and flowers, but didn't dare look at him. Leo jumped up happily, running around Fiona and shouting, Mom, you're my sister-in-law now. I have a dad again. Happy times always seem to have an accelerator. 3 years passed in a flash. To be honest, the 3 years after the divorce were quite enjoyable for him. The only regret he had was, why didn't I divorce Beatrice sooner? Host! On the 3rd of next month at 1600 hours, the procedure will stay or leave. The system seemed surprised at his answer. Are you sure you want to leave? Beatrice couldn't tell if she married Liam because she liked him more or if it was to spite Arthur. Married life was very plain. Nothing changed, yet everything changed. She inexplicably developed a habit of going to bars and drinking until she didn't come home at night. A few glasses of strong liquor numbed her nerves and made her feel alive. Otherwise, when sober, she always felt the lingering presence of Arthur's shadow at home. It's really strange. How can I still see Arthur when I'm drunk? The voice was cold. Nothing like the gentle and considerate Arthur. I'm Liam, of course I'm not Arthur. Beatrice, if you have Arthur in your heart, why did you marry me? The alcohol gave her a splitting headache, making it impossible to think clearly about this question. Does she have Arthur in her heart? No, right? She had always been indifferent to Arthur, thinking he was dispensable. Did she? She vaguely remembered when Liam got married abroad. She was only slightly sad and didn't repeatedly regret why she didn't pursue him abroad sooner. But after divorcing Arthur, it was like cutting flesh with a dull knife, never feeling a bit of pain until now, where the pain was repeatedly tearing. She also wanted a warm little home before. She stubbornly thought she didn't need it. Liam, do you want a divorce? The days of constant arguing and cursing were exhausting. He must be tired, too. It turns out not loving someone is such an exhausting thing. Liam gritted his teeth, his eyes bloodshot, and said, "Beatrice, you insisted on marrying me? We'll never let you go. Even if I die, we'll just torture each other for the rest of our lives. No one should expect to have a good time." Liam stormed out, slamming the door. Beatrice saw Chloe across from the study, closing the door with a blank expression. Is this still a home? Like three strangers living together. She hysterically pushed the wine glass on the table to the ground, and it shattered upon impact. Broken is broken. It can't be whole again. Arthur, I thought you would choose to stay. The night before leaving, he couldn't sleep. It felt a lot like the night before his first long trip as a child. He had told Chloe and Leo about his departure. Chloe's expression was indifferent. Only when he mentioned he was leaving did her eyes redden. Dad, I can't keep you here. You live for yourself first, and I respect your decision. Chloe, thank you for understanding. We are after all father and daughter. There's no deep hatred, but we're not close either. The bond of blood can't be severed. This distant, mutual respect feels appropriate. Leo's eyes were red from crying, yet he still tried to act magnanimous. Arthur, I'm okay. If you want to go home, go ahead. But you must think of me up there. Boo-hoo. He wiped his tears, speechless. You talk as if I'm gone forever. I'm just going home, buddy. Don't cry so much. Leo pouted. My mom is also secretly crying. He paused. He hadn't seen her in over a week. He heard the hospital has been very busy and she barely has time to sleep. He thought about it and decided to see her one last time. He had never seen the hospital so chaotic. Blood splattered across the entire wall. A group of doctors and nurses rushed the patient towards the operating room. He glimpsed the patient lying down, wearing a white coat. His pupils constricted. Who was that patient? He couldn't get through, but someone told him a middle-aged patient attacked a doctor and then jumped to his death. The doctor who was stabbed, Dr. Lin, is a person of integrity and highly skilled. It's really heartbreaking. His heart was racing. He had met Dr. Lin before, Fiona's colleague and good friend, a gentle and kind doctor. He heard a few accusing voices from some patients' family members that Fiona is so cold-hearted. She didn't say Dr. Lin. She saved the murderer instead. Maybe she's jealous that Dr. Lin is more skilled. He didn't understand anything. Fiona isn't like that. He had no energy to argue with them, anxiously waiting for the surgery results. The operating room doors opened. 2 pieces of good news came out. Dr. Lin is saved. No life-threatening injuries. It's a medical miracle. The murderer was also saved by Fiona. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. Now he had the energy to address those ignorant family members. Do you think this is a free market where you can buy and sell freedom? Is it up to the hospital to decide who saves whom? If the hospital refused to save the murderer, who would be responsible if he died? The hospital assigned a doctor to save him. Could the doctor refuse? If the murderer died because the doctor refused to save him, who would be responsible? It's easy for you to criticize, but why didn't you stop the doctors from saving him? Why didn't you use violence to stop them? Were you afraid of taking responsibility? Those people turned red and stayed silent. He turned around and found Fiona eavesdropping again. She looked exhausted but smiled brightly. Arthur, thank you for defending me. Otherwise, I would have been unjustly accused. In a secluded place, she quietly asked him, You came to see me to tell me that you're not leaving tomorrow, right? He knew she was talking about leaving the system. He smiled and said, Sorry, but I am leaving tomorrow. Today is Liam's birthday, and he extravagantly invited numerous young models to the villa for a lavish party. He indulged himself, surrounded by beauties. While Beatrice just let him be. Since she didn't care, it didn't matter to her. Yesterday, Chloe told the housekeeper she was going out to see Arthur. Beatrice let her go. Chloe now talks more to the housekeeper than to Beatrice. Today, unexpectedly, Chloe knocked on Beatrice's door. Her eyes were red as if she had just cried. Beatrice frowned. Haven't I told you girls look ugly when they cry? Crying yesterday and today again. Anna's voice was, Dad is leaving today, going back to his home and never coming back. After saying this, Chloe left. Beatrice sat there for a long time before she regained her senses. Her heart was inexplicably flustered. She felt that Arthur was serious, that his system was taking him back. Now she even believed he had a system. Beatrice grabbed the car keys from the table and rushed downstairs. Just as she opened the door, Liam was standing outside. He walked in and slammed the door shut. He slapped Beatrice hard. After the slap, he grabbed Beatrice's face and cursed. Beatrice, have you ever considered my feelings? You've completely humiliated me, thinking about your ex while with me and thinking about me while with your ex. Have you no shame? You're really despicable. Seeing you like this makes me sick. Do you still have any semblance of a mother or wife? Who are you pretending to be so emotional for? Beatrice didn't retort. At this point, she couldn't argue back. She didn't want to think about or couldn't think about what Liam said. She only felt a burning pain on her face, tears welling up but refusing to fall. She felt anxious, like time was slipping away. But Liam stood firmly against the door. She pulled, pushed, shouted, and made a scene, ruining most of her makeup. She screamed, "Move. Get out of the way. Go away." But no matter what she did, she couldn't push him away. Finally, she stepped back, standing by the window, and sneered at Liam. Liam, did you ever consider my feelings with the things you did? Secretary Evans? Alicia? Sophia? You could find anyone. Why did you have to go after my friends? The next second, she pushed the window open and jumped out. There was no time left. If she didn't leave now, she felt she would go crazy. Ignoring the pain from the fall, she crawled to the car. She floored the gas pedal. Maybe this was her last hope. She hoped Arthur could stay. But things didn't go as she wished. Speeding recklessly, she collided with an oncoming sports car at the corner. In the piercing crash, she completely lost control of the car. Her consciousness gradually faded. The airbag deployed. Blood dripped from her head. One leg was stuck under the seat, probably useless now. This was the first time Beatrice cried since the divorce. Cried like a child. She knew she had no more chances, no chance to keep Arthur. Today is the day I was supposed to leave, but I didn't leave, and no one knows. He finally found Fiona and her son under the setting sun. Fiona stood there like a jade statue, silently looking at the distant coastline. Her expression was lonely and sorrowful, and Leo was using the little shovel he gave him to dig in the sand. While digging, he muttered to himself, "Crab, don't come and pinch me." Arthur left. I thought of 100 happy things to hold back my tears. If Mom can hold back, so can I. If you pinch me and it hurts, I will cry for real. He squatted down and moved the little crabs away from the sand. Dig away, little brother. Cale looked at him, stunned, then turned and shouted, "Mom, come quick. I'm seeing things in broad daylight. I see Arthur in the sunset." Fiona slowly showed a faint smile with a bit of redness at the corners of her eyes. "Leo, it's real. Arthur is back." Leo was ecstatic. "Arthur, you're not leaving, right?" Fiona tucked her hair behind her ear. "Didn't you say you were leaving today?" He pointed to the cake placed aside. "Today is your birthday. Can I go out to buy a cake?" Fiona's smile visibly bloomed. Leo ran around in circles on the beach. The waves chased his little feet, making joyful splashes. Fiona's eyes sparkled. It would be because of us that you delayed going home, right?" "That wouldn't be proper," he smiled. "Fiona, you're being a little pretentious coquette." "Of course it's not because of you. It's because I can't go back for now. Yesterday at the hospital, the system was still grumbling. You're so fickle. Last month you said you wanted to leave, and now you want to stay. System, can you help me out?" Can I use my points to save Dr. Lin's life? The system had told him that Dr. Lin originally couldn't be saved and would have died. Sure, host, but once confirmed, your points will be reset to 0, and you'll have nothing left. You won't be able to go home. It's okay. System. I learn more. If that's not enough, I can borrow some of your points. The system was furious. You audacious rascal. Stop thinking about using my points. I'm a stingy and selfish system. No, you're a kind system. He knew there wasn't really a 3-year cooldown period. The system had made it up. The central system wouldn't set such ridiculous rules. The system wanted him to be happy. More than anyone else. In that other world, he was a lonely vegetative person with no friends or family. When he woke up, the system hoped he would find his happiness in this world. Even the house he lives in now was found with the system's help. Host, this place is perfect. I feel like we'll both prosper living here. What would a system need to prosper? It was just trying to introduce him to people who could bring joy into his life. The system's efforts paid off, and he's grateful to it for letting him meet Fiona and her son. He made a deal with the system, using all his points to save Drive. Lin's life, so he can't leave now. When he finished saying this, Fiona suddenly froze, then threw herself into his arms. Streams of tears flowed down his neck. Arthur, thank you. You're really, really, really great. Leo clapped and laughed nearby. Mom, are you serious? You're such a big person and you cry more than I do. He gently pushed her away with a smile. Yeah, crying like this. Are you trying to make an ocean? He laughed, and Leo joined in until the sunset dipped below the horizon. The three of them, bathed in the twilight glow, walked home together their home.